Hey everybody, we're here with our instructor, Sensei Philippe. You might have known him before. We interviewed him back in season 1. He was a part of this he was former of the Swedish national team. He's a 6th dan in judo now. He's head instructor of Hollywood Judo. He's taught me almost everything I know. He's taught Anthony a lot that he knows and stuff. So we brought him on here as a former international competitor to talk about the Olympics and what he thought about them. We talked about some of the controversies. We're going to talk about some of the things that happened, some of our favorite matches, some of the great things that happened, some of the bad things that happened.
This is one of the few episodes where we're actually on the Tatami doing Tatami Talk.
Actually, this again, whenever you see it, like, this is what it was meant to be like, but then this stuff happens. So
okay, so let's just get started because we have actually people waiting to go to dinner after. This is right after training, so
yeah.
So let's talk about some of the I label it drama, but it's more like controversies that's happened. I'm not going to talk about like the political drama and some of the other outside of judo things, but let's start with the Nagayama versus Garagos chokeout.
The Spaniard,
I'm not going to go over exactly what happened, but look it up or leave a comment if you don't know what happened. Someone will explain to you.
We just wave because we have some friends leave right now, so that's why.
So what do you guys think? Like, let's start with Sensei Philippe. Do you think it was the right call?
No, because the course of events and what happened, and you could look that up. I think they should have just, after all that, just stand them up and let them continue. Yeah. Start from scratch. That would have been the honest and fair thing to do.
Yeah.
Because if not, it's one looks like a crook and one looks the referee made mistake, and everybody's at fault, and it's not fair.
Yeah.
People spend a lot of time to prepare for this, and it shouldn't end like that.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. What do you think?
So my thing is it's one of the things where it's one of my pet peeves about certain refs, and this is IGF refs, this is local refs, international. This is for all refs. I hate it when something happens and they waza or throw, and the ref stays in the middle of the mat and just watches. The action is happening facing away from the ref, but the ref is still behind them, watching them from behind them, and be like, okay, what's going on? So the ref goes mate. Mm-hmm. The Spaniard does not let go of the choke. Supposedly the Japanese guy heard mate.
But you're just explaining. We're gonna skip.
I know. I'm just saying. Like, you get all that stuff. When the ref says mate, they wait another 5 seconds, Yeah. I actually kind of like, to me, sometimes it looks like 6 seconds in some of the videos I watch, but it's supposed to be 5 seconds. Why didn't the ref say mate? Okay? And it's one of the things where it just gets my nerves where if the ref says mate and someone continues to throw, and you'll see it sometimes international, not that much international, you see sometimes local even. The refs say mate, they'll finish the throw, and the ref will be like, oh, it was a good throw, wazadi, or was
But the rules say if the throw was initiated before the mate, it will count.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's that. But the person will just say mate, they'll stop fighting.
Do you think that should... this is one of some of the defenses that people are saying online on the other side of the argument. I agree with Sensei Philippe, by the way. Mm-hmm. But...
you better.
Yeah. But if you initiated the strangle before the mate, then...
Well, here's the thing.
Does it extend to that?
In the old days, the referee would come around, get down on their knees, and watch at the same level that the action was going on. Mm-hmm. So they could actually see what's going on. They probably don't do that now because you have 16 or 32 cameras or whatever they have. But the cameras should really have picked up on all this.
Maybe they did too much drop sail in Nagi and they can't bend down anymore.
No, but it's got to be a camera angle that illustrates what happened. And then the main referees, which are at the table, the deciders, they should be able to say, okay, stop everything, start from the beginning, or something like that. I think that would have been fair.
Yeah, I will say it did make it look like, because the clip that people uploaded online that people saw just made it look like he was already in that position, and then the referee yelled mate, 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 and he just like let go afterwards.
Yeah.
But if you watch the whole thing from beginning to end, it made the guy look like an asshole. Like really,
it made him look terrible.
He looked terrible.
The ref says mate.
There's no way he could have not heard that.
He continues, and you see him even say mate and wrench more afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is the whole thing where he was saying like I was blocking, then I heard mate, and I stopped blocking. Oh, no, now I'm
well, then that's Hansukumaki then. So. But do they know at what point that the Japanese fighter actually
passed out?
Did he pass out before mate, or did he pass out after? And that's where the camera should pick up on that, and I think that would determine the outcome.
Yeah. So here's another question related to that. As you know, I just came from volunteering at the Bay for the Bay Area Judo Championships, and I was actually asking Chuck Jefferson this question because it happened to one of his athletes. I was running the table, saw this match happen. Both athletes were in Newaza, and as we know, when they stand up, it's supposed to be mate, right?
Yeah.
But the ref messed up and did not call mate, and one of the athletes did it uranage after they stood up on the other one. Do you think that should be counted as an ippon? If the ref messed up, should have called, because it's similar, right? The ref messed up, should have called mate.
Right. But if should have, then you can get into the whole should have thing, and then you have should have this, should have that. The referee did not call mate, therefore the action continues.
Yeah. Okay, that's exactly what Sensei Chuck Jefferson said.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So, and I agree with that. But in this case, the ref messed up because she wasn't supposed to call mate, but she did.
Well, they do mess up, but on such a high level like the Olympics, there shouldn't be too many mess ups. There shouldn't be any. If you have a care system and you have referees, rather stop the thing, take a good look at all the cameras, and get the fair decision.
I think I told you this, but Keiji Suzuki, who is the head trainer, head coach for the Japanese national team, said he went to protests at the referees table and they basically laughed at him. Do you think that's an appropriate response? They said the ref messed up with the mate call, but the ippon call will stand, and then they just dismissed him, said they laughed at him.
We weren't there, so we don't know if they actually laughed at him or not. He has tremendous respect in the judo world. I cannot really see that anybody would laugh at him.
I can see that too.
But then again, I wasn't there, so.
I did think it's funny when I saw someone online say like, well, they both took bronze, so it really doesn't matter. It's like, it does matter.
It does.
It totally matters.
Because he could have gotten gold, right?
Someone was like, they both took bronze, so what? It's like, nah, bro. Sorry.
Even between silver and gold, you don't win the silver, you lost the gold.
Exactly.
Okay. Let's not. There's still more.
Let's go to the next one.
Let's go to the next one. Okay, so it's Babelfath versus Sonoda. Babelfath's behavior towards the last Shido call that got her disqualified.
She's from my old club, Stockholm's Judo Club in Sweden.
So is there any favoritism to her?
Well, we obviously don't know each other. I'm 100 years old and she's 18. But she's, I saw an interview with her on Swedish television a week ago, and she's so well-spoken and so mature. And she said something really wonderful. She said she loves to be in the lights when the lights go on, and she loves to hear her name called, and that makes her want to win, and she rises to the occasion, So she is so ahead of her age and so mature. And don't forget, she's 18. And she loses the Olympics on a Shido. She's going to react, I wouldn't hold it against her. It's a reaction from a young person who is on her way to an Olympic final and loses it with a Shido. So she was in another state of mind. I wouldn't say something bad.
Do you think they should have gave her Hansokamake for doing that? Because if it was any other person that wasn't a young person, lady,
no, I don't think so.
I think she wouldn't have. They would told her you're. Not less.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's a Hansukumake.
You can't fight the bronze medal.
No, I don't think it's a.
To me, it's just one of the things where you don't put your hands on the ref, no matter how angry, no matter how wrong it is. You don't put your hands on the ref.
My point of view,
I'm sure she knows that, but it was in the moment. She's young.
You saw Jane Bridges.
She's from my old club. Forgive her.
You saw Jane Bridges' reaction. She was like, "Oh, you're gonna screw up the bronze medal." I think now that she's done that, we'll see if I'm right or wrong, but I think other people will be like, "Oh, she got away with it. Why can't I get away with it when I do that?"
Nah, that's immature thinking. Yeah.
Okay.
She gets away with it because
I can't be immature. Sorry.
No, you don't get away with it.
Immature.
Next time I'm gonna touch the refs.
I would give her
a
pass.
Philippe, he told me to.
Philippe said it was okay.
No. If you're 18, it's okay.
IGF said it was okay.
If you're 18 and you're on your way to an Olympic final.
All right. So related to that, Teddy versus Tutashvili.
Okay.
That's another.
That's different.
That was so. That's
he's not an 18-year-old girl.
No, he's not. And yeah, I think he deserved his Hansukumake. He overreacted. It's judo. It's a gentleman's sport. Supposed to be.
The thing is that he already had the ippon. Teddy already had the ippon from throw.
Yeah.
So there's one thing I get confused about. So did he get Hansokumake out of the tournament? So that's why
he was
right?
he was not eligible
Yeah.
to participate in a team
Yeah,
tournament.
yeah. So he got shut out of the team tournament.
And there's only going to be talks about other penalties that they haven't decided yet.
Yeah, and it's all because during the throw, Teddy went in for the throw. When he landed on him, Teddy's hand was still in the grip, was still in the collar, but the Georgian, he tried to say, "Oh, he had him in choke."
No, he said he was celebrating.
Was that the cell? I thought he got mad.
He said he was. There's someone in a crowd that recorded from a different angle that showed he threw him and he was like sticking his tongue out. And
I think you're overthinking it. I think just the Georgian didn't like the fact that he lost. And so
Totally.
he had sort of an MMA reaction to his loss, you know, and in judo you can't do that.
No.
And so that's pretty clear, I think.
Yeah, some people also said, I think it was a statement from Teddy saying that they had a previous scuff at a different tournament.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they already had bad blood between them. So I guess that's why he celebrated against him.
Not
And then
surprising.
Yeah. So, but yeah, let's leave it at that. This is rumors, right?
Yeah.
So,
Nobody likes to lose, but you have to be a gentleman about it.
Yeah.
You know, you can throw a tantrum when you go to the bathroom afterwards,
Yeah.
but in the public display, you also have to remember you represent your country.
Yeah.
You know, so I always say that to our guys when they go compete. They're not going to say, you know, you did this. They're going to say that asshole from Hollywood did this and that. So you represent your club.
Me? I'm good.
No, you guys are good.
I'm one of the better ones.
No, you guys are good. You guys are good. I'm not talking about you. But just even more so when you represent your country, you know, you have to behave in a respectful manner. Also because that's judo. It's based on respect.
Yeah.
Mutual respect, yeah.
okay, so last thing on the drama is Uta Abe's upset. Like, any thoughts on it? I mean, like, I kind of had a bet with a friend privately saying that she was going to lose, but I didn't expect it like this. But
Look, if we already knew who was favored to win, and I'm sure she was right, then we don't have to have a competition. So the idea of having a competition is you actually open the door to people that maybe are not, you know, favorites to win, but given what happens during the day, they may upset somebody and they may actually win. And that's the idea. That's part of the idea of a competition. If not, why do we have competitions?
No.
It just happens so that she got thrown. And that's judo. It can happen to anybody at any given time, no matter how good you are. And I think she just went into a state of shock and disbelief. So her reaction, I feel very bad for her. But I'm also happy for the girl who won.
what do you think happened? Was she trying to do an Uchimata and then she got caught with a Tanya Toshi?
Well, I don't remember. I think they were moving fast in the backwards direction, and the other girl just went into a Tanya Toshi in just full force. And given the motion of the situation, Utabe just went down and it was Ippon. And it takes a millisecond, but that's why we have competition.
Yeah.
So,
Uta
Abe aside, I know some people said she got lucky, but like, I don't think
well,
so.
that's part of competition too.
She had a great
so what
tournament.
if she got lucky?
She had a great tournament. She beat like 3 great people.
Yeah, I was
She
gonna say,
beat all the best people that
she
day.
ended up being a gold medalist, so I think
she
you
had the
can't
turn
say
of her
that,
life, and that's
right?
good for her.
Yeah.
Like the whole thing about Abe is like, she hasn't lost since like 2019. Someone was saying online. And
But
stuff.
everybody loses eventually.
It all happens sooner or later.
So if I put a gun to your head and said,
Yes.
Uta Abe and Keladova is going to fight again, who's going to win?
I don't know. It's
Then who would you bet on? A gun to your head.
Put that gun down.
well, maybe Utabe, but then again, but that doesn't prove anything.
I know. I just wanted to know. Who
Not
you
for
would,
sure. Not for sure. If the best person always wins, again, I repeat myself, then we don't need to have competitions. We have competitions so that the best have to prove that they are the best, and the people that are not the best are given a chance to beat the people that are the best. Because there are so many variables in judo, anything can happen.
That makes me feel so much better about losing all the time.
Well, yes.
The one thing that I didn't like about it is how right exactly as she lost, she had her breakdown, she was crying, she was having a hard time. How people online started making fun of her, that she was weak.
But you always have assholes like that.
I know.
Those are people that don't train too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
these are the people
That made me so mad.
that don't know what it takes, don't know how much training they've been through, don't know the emotional stress and tension that they're all feeling that day. It's only once every 4 years. And so people that make stupid comments like that, they're small-minded people that really haven't understood the full spectrum of what's going on.
Yeah.
And you will always have people like that, so to be ignored.
I read a lot of comments where people, mostly BJJ people, not to rag on them again, but they're just saying like, why didn't they just do this? Because it's not.
Yeah, well then they go and do it. It's like it's easy to be a critic. It's easy to watch something and say, oh, they should have done this. I should have done. Should have. But you go up there in the arena under tremendous stress, with thousands of people watching, and it's once every 4 years, maybe your only time up there to be there. I mean, can you imagine the stress?
And those are people that don't have to worry about being pinned too in their own rule set.
Yeah.
So it's totally different. So
and they're not in the Olympics. So.
yeah, that too. Okay. Next, we're going to talk about inconsistencies in refereeing. This is like a big one. Mm-hmm. So
yes.
One
We go back to the first topic again.
One of the topics that even Neil Adams mentioned it a couple times, where he actually kind of hinted it, was like Tsunoda's like Sumigaeshi Tomoe Nage drop.
Yeah.
A lot of times she drops and she takes a second.
She would do 2 attempts.
Yeah. So like you can interpret it. It depends on how you interpret it. You can interpret it as 2 separate attempts, right? Mm-hmm. So it's not one continuous attack. You can't count it because you're already on the ground. Or you can interpret it as one continuous, like bam, bam, bam combo.
Combination attack.
Yeah. So
I see. I totally understand. I get both arguments. I really do.
But I do feel like, because she's the only one that spams it so much, so it's more obvious when she does it. But when it happens that once in a while to someone else, they get called Shido for it usually. So what do you think? Do you think?
Yeah. So her first attack, when she first goes in for Tomoe Nage, if that's forceful enough, the referee is not going to say mate. And so if the referee hasn't said mate, then the second one coming that she's doing is still within the time frame, right? Because there's no mate.
And she's right. The opponent's still standing, so it's not Newaza yet.
Yeah. So also, but if all she does is drop down for really poor Tomoe Nage, then that's mate and Shido. But she doesn't do a poor Tomoe Nage. They're all forceful. So I don't have a problem with the second. She only goes in with one leg, then she adds the second one.
Yeah, I think the question's on the second one, not the first one, because
I'm okay with the second one, as long as the first attack is a real attack.
Yeah.
Because then, even if you do an attack and it's a continuous attack, you will get a point, correct? So that's what it is. It's a continuous attack.
Because I think most comments talking about this are from BJJ people that don't really understand, or they can't tell the difference between a false attack and an actual
Why
earnest.
are we getting all this?
Yeah, but they can't tell the difference.
They're like vocal sensei.
They're like, oh, we can pull guard. Like, I'll just go to a judo tournament and pull guard. It's like you're more likely to get called for false attack.
I would never comment on a sport that I don't know fully a lot about.
I know.
So
I like commenting about beach volleyball though.
Yeah,
that you do
for all the wrong reasons. For all the wrong reasons.
Okay.
Oh my God.
All right. Do you have anything to add to that before we move?
No. Like I said,
I want to say something about the Shidos.
Yeah.
So are we getting to that?
No. That's going to be later.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that's about too many Shidos, right?
Yeah, and also how they're given or when they're given and things like that.
Yeah, we can talk about that later.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. So next one is Gaba from France.
Yes.
He seems to just be immune to Shido calls. It seems like everyone else is being called. Like, I think a lot of people, when they say inconsistencies in this Olympics with the calls, it has to do with this guy. Because he just seems to be false attacking, dropping, and everything, and he just gets away with it.
Well, he's, I think, 23. He's young. I don't know that much about him, but he's one of those new French, national team guys. Mm-hmm. And what he does, he's got an amazing physique. And he goes in, and he goes in, and he does something that works really well, especially against Japanese players, because Japanese players want to have their grip, they want to take their time and do a beautiful execution of a technique. So he sabotages that. A little bit like Jamel Bourra did against Koga back in the 90s in the Olympic final. Nobody thought that Bourra would win, but he bombarded Koga with attack after attack after attack. And that's one way to run somebody down. Now, these attacks, like you mentioned, they are basically not great attacks. They throw themselves down on their knees.
They're enough to not get called false
attack. They're enough to get the other person a little bit out of balance, so it looks like an attack, but it's basically attack before he does. We said that when we coach too.
Yeah.
Attack before he does, or she does. And so if you're first in, the other person is going to get a shield for passivity. Yeah. And that's what they're banking on.
Yeah.
So that's, but...
Because I think the common rule set that's not a gray area that describes what a false attack is you got to get the other person off balance.
Yes,
if you-
but he gets them off balance because he's so strong.
Exactly.
He goes in full force.
Exactly,
yeah.
but which is why I like to call him the male version of Jessica Klimkate. But if you look at Krista Deguchi's match with Humimi, she also gets Krista off balance, but
No, but
it's
the
with
problem with-
one sleeve that has and no turn that the attack would not have succeeded.
The one thing
Yeah.
with her,
And she
at
got
least-
called for it.
but the reason she gets called, and this is my opinion from watching it, her drops and her attacks, she only comes in halfway a lot of times.
That's what I'm saying. But I'm saying by the
Where
rules,
Gabe,
by
at
the
least,
by
at
the
least
rules,
he comes in more. He'll pull them
but
onto
the
his
rules
back.
say nothing about rotation, right?
Yeah, but it looks a half attack looks like a false attack.
I feel like they should get rid. If that's the case, they should get rid of the off balance description and just leave it up to the referee to determine whether that was a good attack or
Well,
not.
instead of getting rid of the off-balance thing, you can also say, for example, if somebody turns 180 degrees, completely their back to the opponent, then that's an attack. But if you throw yourself down on your knees and you are, completely off angle for any possibility of throw, then that could be a false attack. But we're getting into so many details for the Shidos
Yeah, I know.
that it's becoming really embarrassing.
Because Krista Deguchi did a drop Oichigari that actually I thought was pretty good attack, and she got false attack for dropping. So, but yeah, that's the inconsistencies that we saw.
Inconsistencies, yeah.
And
Yeah.
there is always, I hate to say it, but there's home field advantage and playoff rules.
Yeah,
I
large.
hate seeing it, but I see it.
Yeah.
I know what it is. I know what's going on here.
What do you mean by home field advantage?
It seemed to me like they're giving a lot of the French people the advantage of the calls. Come on. Come on.
I didn't see that, but I didn't watch all the matches, but I got bored.
I'm
sorry, but yeah.
I had a hard time watching a lot of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so we talked about false attack calls, inconsistency already, right? So, what about the Wazari calls? There are some throws where the people turn out and they over-rotated and it was called Wazaris. Like,
Well, it's supposed to be all in the landing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
so
tough
the
to
landing, again, the care system would replay and see what the landing,
But
if
the
the
funny
landing
thing is that they replay it to us, and we're like, I would have thought it was Wazari if they didn't replay it to me. But when they replayed it to me, I'm like, that's not a Wazari.
could be, but also could be that when they replay it from an angle where you can't tell.
Yeah.
Because the replay, I don't know if they have access to every camera angle. I don't think
Well, they
so.
do because they have that that system they bought from the
360
NFL.
something.
Yeah.
So,
They'll show during the highlights. They'll show every angle.
yeah, I mean, you're right.
mean-
and I think they don't show it on purpose sometimes just to make us.
I'm old enough to know that a Wazari doesn't look like what a Wazari looks like now. So I'm I have my own view on what's a Wazari.
Yeah.
But okay. That's-
Okay.
yeah.
So, all right. Favorite fights. Let's start with Juan this time.
I really didn't have like a favorite fight. I had some fun fights, some interesting fights, but I didn't have like a favorite one.
Okay.
What was the one where it's Teddy Reiner versus a Korean guy in the team tournament?
In the team, Saito. Korean guy or the Japanese?
No, the Korean guy.
I did not watch
that.
it.
Was a hilarious fight because they got like the 81 kilo guy or something.
Yeah.
Oh, that one.
Yeah,
That
That
one.
one. They got this 81 kilo guy versus Teddy Reiner. And I'm just like, what
I
the
heard he did pretty good too.
He did great for his size. He did amazing.
For those who don't understand, it was a strategic decision by the Korean coach to do that so they can. They weren't going for gold. They were trying to aim for bronze.
Oh, so they're trying
yeah.
to. They're
Well, I
trying
read something about that match. Actually, incidentally, today online, some Korean paper or somebody had said that completely unfair to pair a little person with a big person like that. Shouldn't be done. Shouldn't be allowed. But the Koreans put him
Yeah,
up
he's gonna do
against
it.
Teddy Reiner, so they did it, thinking, again, it's
Because it's like one of the things. It's a heavyweight division, or it's the
a
90
100-kilo guy who's really, really good, which the Korean is. Maybe could have got lucky against Teddy Reiner. You never know.
You never
No,
know.
I think they said he was injured. So
Teddy or the.
no, the Korean.
Well, if he's injured, why do they put him up then? So I don't know.
Well, Japan had what's his name? Is the Korean heavyweight's name? Saito go out there, and supposedly he was injured, but.
Okay. All right.
All right.
So,
All right, so
that was,
Philippe, what was your favorite?
what was your favorite fight?
I think the one we just watched with
Nagase versus not Grigashvili. It was Grigashvili. Yeah. Him.
I thought, and I also liked, because I'm of Italian ancestry, so I like to watch Belandi win
Yeah.
gold
was
up to
amazing,
78 kilos for women. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
But, you know, I favor, like everybody else, certain individuals, and I like to see them win. Smetov, up to 60
Oh my
kilos.
gosh.
I've been a big fan of Smetov for like 10 years.
Yeah.
Going back, you watch videos of him when he was younger. One of the most fantastic judo players.
He's
ever.
very well-rounded.
Fantastic. I mean,
He deserves
and I'm
it.
so glad that he got his Olympic gold, because he was world champion almost 10 years ago. So he finally got his Olympic gold. That I thought was nice.
Well, he got one of each color now.
Yeah, he has one of each color. You know, even if the final match wasn't I don't know, but
I don't.
the result, yeah.
That man is half tape. He's no longer.
Yeah, you see the picture? There's a video of him like with his gi off stuff, just all tape, all kinetic tape all over.
well,
him.
when you get older, you're pretty beat up.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Do you think this will be
What
his
was your-
last fight? Last attempt at major
I
title?
don't know him personally, but I would think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not? He's 30 or some 31 or something. Why not retire with a gold medal?
Yeah.
You know, but
But you know how competitors think, you know? Like,
no.
I always have one more, just one more. Because they're saying Teddy is going to go for LA now.
Yeah. Well,
If he comes in shape, so I looked this up, he'll be in his 40 or 40, 41, something like that,
That's
I think.
crazy.
For
Well,
LA.
I was watching wrestling, super heavyweight wrestling, over
the
130
Cuban.
kilos. There's a Cuban who had up till today 4 consecutive gold medals from 4 Olympics, and he won today his 5th.
Yeah.
And he's turning 42 this week. So it depends how your body holds up,
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
Well, the one thing about Teddy that he did come in shape to this tournament. He came in really good shape, ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, he's never been out of shape. He's pretty much undefeated. But he was a little bit lighter this time, so he maybe slimmed down. But I don't know. I think those questions is if the body holds up.
Yeah.
If the body holds up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anthony, what was your favorite match?
My
of the
favorite
tournament?
fight, again, was Nagase versus
Same one? Okay.
Grashvili. Just, I think Nagase made that fight interesting, you know? So, even though it's not like a big Ashiguruma or like...
No, but it was judo. It was
but
good
yeah,
judo.
it was good judo.
Yeah.
That's like...
We like to see good judo.
Also, the grip fighting was interesting, I thought. It's not... Like, a lot of people don't enjoy it,
Understand
but
it.
I really enjoy the grip
Yeah,
fighting.
some of the grip fighting, it looks like karate. You know,
Yeah.
it's you know, that's another thing.
And
that needs to.
they all seem very purposeful. It's not just like, oh, I don't like this grip. Let me rip it out. And then
Yeah.
what do you do after that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's like very purposeful and continuous. So I really like that.
Yeah.
My other second choice would be both the Saito versus Teddy Raniere matches in the team tournament.
Really?
Yeah. It was just fun. That's the only way. I wouldn't describe it as good, but it was just fun to watch. And I feel like those two matches is an perfect example of how refereeing should be done in judo. That's the main thing that made it fun. It's not like constant interruption by the ref, constant shidos.
Well, also traditionally in the super heavyweights, you give them a little bit more time to attack. In the lightweights, you know, a shido can come maybe after 20, 30 seconds. In the heavyweights, after a minute and a half, the first shido. Because by nature, they move slow.
I feel like that's what do you call it? Discrimination against lighter, non-fat people.
What are you talking about? You're minus 100 kilos.
No,
You're happy.
it's an adaptation to the rules,
Yeah.
and there were plenty of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's have a recap. Sensei Philippe, did the Olympics meet your expectations this year, or
Expectations. No, I'm really disappointed in for example the Shido system. I thought there were lots of grip fighting and Shidos, very little beautiful throws and Nawaza and great technique. I missed a lot of that, so did it meet my expectations? I would have to say no.
no? Okay, for me, it actually exceeded my expectations because I kept my expectations really low. And if you've been
Oh,
listening,
so I keep mine to hide.
Yes.
Yeah.
You should look at the good old school judo.
if you listen to the other older episodes of the podcast, I always say I keep the expectations low because I honestly hated the Tokyo Olympics. We'll talk about that next. But after Tokyo Olympics, I was just like, I'm just gonna keep my expectations low. I didn't expect anything, but I did see some fun fights. Like,
Well, to me, it's a successful tournament, whether it's the Olympics or anything else, if I see a lot of good judo. That's, you know.
yeah, I also think the French crowd that are educated in judo because it's so popular
It's a
there.
judo country, yeah.
Also made it really fun to watch the crowd's reactions to it. Versus, I'm not going to say who, but like when I went to the World Championships, all you hear from certain people were Shido blue, like boo. Every time they see something they don't like, they just go.
Well, it's interesting that the crowd used to yell for Ippons.
Yeah.
You know. Now they yell for Shidos. So that tells you already how the thing has been completely turned around and distorted. You never had people before yelling for Shidos. We always had people yelling
They're only
for
yelling
throws
Ippon just
and
for you.
techniques. Yeah. Now they yell for Shidos. I mean, I don't understand.
Yeah. Before I ask Juan, that was also the NBC Peacock stream was also completely garbage.
It wasn't as bad I don't think it was. There was some problems, yes, but I don't think it was as bad
Some-
as you think it was.
The thing I hate the most is that stupid split screen thing. That
you couldn't
can't
pick
turn
which screen
off.
you wanted to use.
Yeah, we'll do.
Yeah, you had to sort of watch one with one eye and one with the other.
We'll talk about it in a different episode in detail about the stream. But that's the reason why I kept my expectations low, is because of the stream.
I was just happy they had judo on there. They didn't lie and change it.
They didn't lie and change it. Yeah, they actually have it.
They had judo on there.
Yeah.
They had Neil Adams doing commentary. There
Yeah.
was some interesting commentary by the co-host or co-anchor, whatever you
So,
call it.
what about you? Did it meet your expectations?
I'm kind of like you, where I didn't have super high expectations, so I was satisfied with it, but I was upset with so many Shidos being given out, and I hate seeing championships being won on Shido. I hate that, but
So,
it is what it
yeah.
is.
So let's start with you and move on to the next things. Like, compared to the past Olympics, how do you think it's better or worse? And also, wouldn't you say like the win by Shido thing was happening in Tokyo?
It happened in Tokyo. It's just been happening more recently. Like, I want to say,
You think it happened more now than in Tokyo?
I wouldn't know. I couldn't tell you because
Okay.
I would say probably the last really good judo Olympics I saw, and this is, I think, might have been
1964.
no. I was gonna say I think maybe Brazil was though when they had in Brazil.
Rio, okay.
Rio, because Rio I think had. This is just me. I don't remember exactly, but I think I remember there was more Shidos there and more international people winning.
Okay, so you like the Rio Olympics better?
I think so.
Okay.
Don't hold me to that, please.
All right. Okay, what about you, Sensei?
My what expectations?
No, compared to the past Olympics, where would you put this? Was it better or worse? Average in between? Like,
I will say this one more thing.
Yes.
Having a crowd really did bring something back out because it was
Yes.
weird. Like all the sports, like watching wrestling.
The
and
Japanese are very
fencing.
quiet too. That's another
The
thing.
thing is, like, there wasn't a whole lot of people there anyways.
It's like you go to a concert and the Japanese are like,
It was very limited how many people they had inside. So
Yeah.
the French being there, all the different countries shouting and yelling, it brought something to all the events that I've
Yeah.
watched so far. You know.
So yes, how is it compared to previous Olympics? Like, would you say this is better than the recent ones? Because you've been training judo longer than we have. So
Well, since I'm old, I like more to watch when we had leg grabbing, when we had things like that, and because I thought the judo was more explosive, and you were allowed to actually go in and do a lot of things and try a lot of things. Now it seems like they go in thinking about not to this, not to do that because I get a Shido. So you're sort of amputated as a judoka, as opposed to
We're
being
also-
a free
yeah.
spirit judoka. And that reflects in this tournament, I thought.
I will say one thing I did notice in this Olympics compared to the previous one is there was a lot of Shidos in Tokyo. I remember that, but there was a lot less theatrics. If you know what I mean? Like now you see people pushing people out and then going like,
Yeah, that's another thing I see from certain countries, that the players are totally surprised when they get Shido for something. It's almost like the coaches didn't go through all the rules with them. And I know it's a lot of rules and a lot of Shidos, but unfortunately, if you're going to compete on a high level, you have to know what every single Shido is, so that you can avoid getting those Shidos. And it seems like certain countries, they don't go through all the details in the rules, and therefore when the player gets, there was one, was it the final in 100 kilos, when Georgian was leading with a Wazari,
yeah.
and he has two Shidos against him, and there's 6 seconds left. What does he do? He drops to Tomoinage, and
There's so many other ways to install,
he
right?
could have done anything else. Why that? and his opponent just steps over him and points down, as rightfully so. And then the Georgian gets a Shido, and he has no idea why. Look at his expression, his face, and all that.
Or he's just really good at acting.
Well, it's too late to act at that time. So why? I wonder if he was even aware of what he was doing. Because a good coach would have said, 6 seconds left, just stay on your feet and move.
Yeah.
But of all the things,
you watched him drop twice and said nothing. Yeah.
To drop like that, when you that lost him his gold medal, and he seemed to blame the referee and everybody else around him. But that's on him. But if nobody told him, which surprises me, because on that level, he should know. He should know.
I'm not going to repeat what he said on social media, but he did say something controversial. So
okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
So which one? Let's just say because I know you prefer back in the day, right? So out of the Rio, Tokyo, London, Rio, Tokyo, and this one, which one would you rank your favorite?
I would go to individual matches and things that are.
You're bypassing the answer there.
Okay.
Why you gotta make things so hard, Anthony?
When did they still have leg grabbing in Rio? Yes.
As a counter. No, as a counter.
That was last year's counters.
Okay, so London they had leg grabbing. London was my last favorite.
Okay, all right.
Before they took away leg grabbing.
Beijing.
Beijing was one. No, London.
No, London.
London's the last one they had.
London.
Yeah.
Was my last favorite. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So. Too many Shidos. I'll let you take over.
Okay, so interesting. I didn't watch all of the matches every day. I had to do other things. But anyway, so it seemed to me like the first 2 days, people were really unhappy with Shidos given to determine the outcome of a match, right?
Yeah.
So day 3 and 4, it seemed like, especially when they got into the finals and so, they it seems like they said, don't let them get any Shidos, let them go till they score a point. And I've heard that before from IGF referees, that they get to a point when they say, let's forget about the Shidos, let them fight it out in golden score, let them actually score to win. But if you have a rule system that you have to then change throughout the day because of you want to project a different outcome, then there's something wrong with the rule system to begin with.
So I don't think there's anything wrong with the rules. I think it's something wrong with the refereeing. Right?
It goes to inconsistent refereeing, individuals.
So why don't they just call it more consistently? Change the rules so it's not so
But it's not one referee deciding. It's a whole table. So it's a collective decision for every Shido given. So I can't really agree with that. I think there's just too many Shidos, and I think they painted themselves into a corner, and it's hard to get out of it. And the whole idea started with leg grabbing to say that it looked too much like wrestling. Now it looks like wrestling. It didn't look like wrestling at all before. Even when we had leg grabbing. It was a different way of grabbing the legs than wrestlers do.
So would you agree to make it less black and white, the rules, in a more gray area for the referees to interpret? Like, instead of saying you can't break the grip, you can't do this because it's defensive, what if you just say you can't be defensive, and then let the referee decide, okay, you're too defensive.
If that solves the problem, then I would be for that. And also you have to put everything in context. If you break somebody's grip, but you do it depends. It depends. But the referee has to know 100% what he's looking at or she's looking at. And also the side referees, they have to be very knowledgeable so they can make a fair call. It has to be fair.
Yeah. Also, whenever you change the rules, people eventually learn how to game it, right?
Yeah.
And this is something I've mentioned to you before off the screen, but I started noticing people doing a couple, I'm not going to say who because I don't want people to pick it up, but I'm starting noticing people starting to, whenever their opponent breaks the grip, they start backpedaling, so that their opponent cannot re-grip and they eat a Shido.
Exactly. So you gauge the system.
Yeah.
And they do the theatrics, like, look,
It's just looking to me, it's like, I understand Shidos and certain rules we have for safety. I'm all for safety. I have no problem with safety.
Good point.
I hate the thing where it's like, well, we do this to encourage more attacks. We do this to encourage this. Like, no, you're not. You're making people learn and play the Shido game. That's what I don't like. I have no problems with Shidos and rules for safety. I love that, okay? No head diving, no dropping people on their heads, wrist breaking, or I totally get that. But they're like, oh, well, they're being too passive, we're going to give them another Shido. Well, if I make the other guy look passive, they'll get him Shido.
Yeah.
And like go to that gold medal match where the guy didn't know what to do. I'm gonna do a bad tomonage, get a shido, and then lose the match. Like,
Yeah.
It has to be activity friendly and creative, without stopping every 20 seconds to give somebody a shido. So they have to figure out a way to get around that because it's become too much.
So, someone, I'm, again, not going to name who, someone prominent.
You don't name anybody, do you?
he reads a lot, Sensei. We do this a lot of shows. He reads a
Someone
lot.
uploaded a video saying that they should bring back old rules in Hante, like decision, referee's decision. Do you agree with that?
I would.
The
Let's
referee's
try
decision.
it. If it's so,
Referee's decision?
what's that?
Referee's decision?
Yeah, because you have three. You have one in the center, and you have two sides.
Wasn't there really controversial calls back in the day based off of those decisions too?
Yeah, back
look,
in your days,
it's
Sensei.
like anything else. If there's one controversial, then say, "Oh, it's controversial." But it was rare. I think for the most part.
But
it
at
was
least
fine.
Shido, you can say like, well, he did like break the grip and like do that and that, so he deserved the.
You can still give shidos and you can have hante. You can figure out a way that it's just creative. I mean, for people that don't do judo, it's always very difficult to sell judo, to have them go watch judo, right? Now it's impossible. I cannot take
Which
people.
is
No,
funny because I think this is one of the highest viewed. I'm going to guess. I don't think this data came out yet. But judo was really popular. A lot of people online actually got exposed to judo and started asking about it. I heard a lot of people watching. People at bars that don't watch judo started watching it.
People at bars watch anything.
Well, to me, okay.
Well, there's other sports they can put on, but they put on judo.
Well, to me, this is the thing. One, it has to go with Peacock doing their job and showing
Yeah.
all the Olympic sports. Okay,
That's
I could
definitely
watch
one.
fencing.
Yeah.
I've watched all of wrestling. I could watch handball. Okay, I could watch all of judo. All right.
Keep going. I'm just making sure it's
No,
still
I know.
recording.
Like I was trying to make sure that. So you can watch all these sports now. Secondly, with the UFC and stuff, and the influx of certain judo fighters in MMA, Kayla going into UFC now.
That's
they
going to be
know-
hard to prove.
I'm not saying that, but here's one thing I will always say this. Whenever Ronda won her MMA fights, we would always get a few ladies or some teens come to the dojo interested in judo. They wouldn't stay because judo's tough to sell and stuff, but we would always get people interested. So I kind of think that maybe because Kayla did so well this last UFC, she's become very popular. Like, oh, that judo sport. Oh, let's go watch that again.
I think it's been really popular to your average audience. But this is my own anecdotal experience from reading what people say. It's really popular with people who don't know anything about fighting combat sports. But it's not popular with people who look at judo and then compare it with their own sport that they don't understand it and they compare it with their own sport. The people who don't really understand or train anything and they watch it, they're like, oh, this is fun, this is exciting. But it's the people that are like, that doesn't make sense. In boxing or in BJJ, they would do this. Like that looks dumb. Why do they turtle? Like that's what I know.
In wrestling, I would do that, which is something. I get people that get confused about that with Greco wrestling also. Greco wrestling is out right now. I'm on some wrestling forums.
Yeah.
And people are like, well, why didn't he do this? Why can't he do that? Why did he throw it that way? Because this is Greco rules.
Yeah.
He can't do that in Greco. He has to fight this way in Greco. This isn't a freestyle. And the problem with some certain Americans that we grew up doing American folk style so much that they even get confused with international freestyle. They get confused.
from folk style because it's different.
Yeah.
All right. So
I think when Ronda Rousey came on the scene in MMA, I think we were expecting an avalanche of especially women come to judo, and we didn't get that avalanche. I think, MMA is different. Yes, they do great publicity for judo, Kayla Harrison also, because, Olympic gold medalist and all that. But it doesn't really translate to people coming to judo. Because I think when they come to judo, we have specific rules. We're not MMA,
Yeah.
So they like to watch them, and they say, oh, she's a judoka. Look, she's awesome. And she is awesome. But somehow it doesn't translate to them coming to judo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, it looks brutal. I will say that.
It looks brutal, but when we train here, it doesn't look brutal.
Yeah.
So maybe it's the brutality that's missing. I don't know.
I think a lot of people look at judo and then, especially Olympic judo, with all the complaints they have, I'm like, 90% of you are not going to deal with grip fighting Shidos in your club. Like, what we always talk about how minority of people compete, right?
Yeah.
We're not going to be like, oh, you can't do that grip break. Like, here.
But it's the classical, in any sport, you have couch potatoes,
Yeah.
People sitting on the couch and criticizing everything and having chips and beers, and they think they know everything. And
There's been some funny memes out of like gymnasts falling and
Yeah.
stuff, and then like fat guys, and they're like, That's bullshit. I could have done that.
Yeah, that's pathetic.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, the funniest thing I read was someone saying, "Oh, I was gonna put my kid in judo until I saw the Olympics, and there's so many Shidos." I'm like, dude, no one's calling Shidos on your kid in judo class.
Your
Like,
6-year-old's not
Yeah.
getting Shidos in
But
class.
that's to prove the point there that, we're not going to get more people to judo from watching the Olympics, really, because it's not a good sell for people that haven't done judo.
That's why we have them watch the Tatami Talk instead.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Enough about Shido. So, lack of variety of techniques, and this is going to tie into a listener question we had from like last year that I said I would ask Sensei Philippe, but we never did. Like, let's start with that before we talk about variety of techniques. Why don't we see certain techniques anymore? Like, Harai Goshi is rare. I'm not gonna go into like stuff like Oguruma.
All right.
Like,
Teddy did it like 3 or 4 times. What are you talking about?
that's the exception, right?
Oh,
Like
okay.
we don't see Harai, we don't see standing Seoi Nages as much anymore. We don't see what else? I'm trying to think.
Well,
We don't see Okudiashi Barai like.
right. Well, some people do it, but I think overall on the high level now, people concentrate on 1 or 2 or 3 techniques. In old school judo, you had to learn all the techniques, and from learning all the techniques, you would from there emerge into certain techniques that sometimes were fashionable more than others. Sodetsu Kamigoshi, or, whatever. But nowadays it seems like they start already by learning a few techniques that will work in competition. And it's always the same ones that are popular because they've proven to work before. But the idea of learning all the techniques from scratch is also important because somebody might do them to you,
Yeah.
so you have to know. And also, we don't study judo just for competition. Obviously, we want to learn the art of judo, so it's fun to learn a lot of variety of techniques. But at a higher level, I can see that.
Yeah. I think one of the causes is by changing the scoring standards. Because why would you do a risk exposure back and all that stuff to do Harai Goshi when doing that huge ippon throw you saw Teddy do is barely better than just dropping and rolling someone over their back. It's the same score, right?
Most throws in judo, you expose your back. It's not like jiu-jitsu. You have to expose your back. You have to turn and
I know,
load the person up
I'm
and
saying
throw them.
with drop Seoi you would just immediately be safe on the ground. You can stall if you fail.
No, you're not safe because then you're in Newaza and somebody who's really good at Newaza, he's going to overtake
But
you.
it's
Yeah.
well, there's less risk of getting countered, is what I'm saying, by dropping to your knees.
Which is what the Georgian did against Nagase,
Which doesn't always, yeah.
to wrap it up.
But do you not think like these big ippon throws are just not worth it now because it's to most people, obviously, not everyone, but it's not worth it as much now because they're harder to do than just dropping to your knees.
No, I
and
think-
also you can't really bait Shidos to the other person that way.
No, that has all to do now with the scoring system. That means what used to be a koka or a yuko in judo previously is now a wazari.
Yeah.
That means you can do don't have to strive always for a perfect throw. You can do just get them down on their side and you get a wazari. And you do that twice, you have won the match.
But aren't you agreeing with me here though?
Well, my agreement would be you should always strive for perfect technique and perfect throws. But there's no need for that anymore because the scoring system rewards you if you do a lesser technique.
That's what I'm saying though.
Well, then I agree with you.
So the scoring system pushed people towards doing this kind of judo.
Correct.
Because if
It
they
does.
brought,
It does.
because I've been always pushing to bring the ippon and wazari standards back to the way it was.
Oh, yeah.
And then bring back yuko. That's why I thought, because then it would, like, you can't win by these shitty throws
Yes.
anymore.
Yes.
So if you want to win, you better do a big throw.
I thought that was great. The Yoko Wazari Ippon, that was good because you had a distinction. They land on their side, it's Yoko, and it's almost Ippon, it's Wazari. Ippon is given perfect.
Yeah.
I like that, but when they installed the Wazari being now
Yuko.
anything that is
Anything that falls
ridiculous.
down to the ground.
Ridiculous.
Yeah. Kolka's turning into.
I also think that indirectly affects, you know how people are too afraid to attack now?
Yeah.
That indirectly affects that because if they do a big throw and then someone just turns them over and their front touches the ground now, it's like a wazari.
Yeah.
So why would you risk yourself for big attacks?
Yeah.
Right? So
Well, my thing is like it just shows to what's popular, and it's the only thing like people see like, oh, I see that works, I'm gonna do a lot more of that. Okay, and the thing is like they don't want to take the chance of a big throw and it not working. But the other thing is like, do I take the chance of the big throw and it not working, or do I take the chance on learning how to do big throws to always win? You know, it's just
You should also have the mentality that you go in for always ippon, and that means taking some chances.
That's too noble.
The strategy thing of, okay, I'm going to get him down on his knees twice, I'm going to get to Wazari, I'm going to get out of there. To me, that's what do you get out of that? You know, what do you get out of that?
Olympic gold medal.
The sensation of throwing somebody with a perfect ippon or getting a perfect score in a waza, I mean, the gratification of that completely overrides any of the little, half.
You just explained why I don't throw people in randori that much. Because I always strive for that ippon instead of dropping to my knees.
No, keep striving for ippon.
Yeah.
When people get better, eventually they will have the satisfaction of scoring that beautiful ippon. And that's, the euphoria of success in judo. To me, to just get somebody down on their knees and get a wazari, it's not gratifying. I mean, then anything you do in life, I think you have to strive for perfection as much as you can. And different people have different, ceilings for that.
Yeah.
Not everybody can be like Koga,
Well,
right?
I also think
If you have to strive for it. At least.
in some countries, if you win a medal, it means you're set for life, basically, right? So
Tell me which.
Mongolia is one of them.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, also look at Teddy Raniere. He has lots of sponsorships. Like
Yeah, but that's him.
yeah.
yeah, but he's winning a lot by good throws. Also,
But I'm saying for some,
He's one of the favorite people in France. They do teddy bears of him.
they do teddy bears of Teddy. Really?
Yes. Well, I mean,
but for certain people from certain countries, like winning a medal is a life-changing event. So there is an incentive to win by any means necessary. So the striving for ippon thing might not outweigh that incentive.
to me, the life-changing event is if you do really well, you have understood the sport and you have technical perfection. To me, that's life-changing. To win on a half-ass Shido's decision, to me, that's not
I think
life-changing.
a lot of listeners would disagree with us on that.
Well,
I would
then,
Go ahead and disagree with us.
maybe I'm just too old.
You're just too old school. You're just too old school, Sensei. Sorry.
That was the fundamental idea of judo, by the way.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm alone in that thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. So anything else to say about the drop spamming? Nothing. Okay. The rule changes from. Do you guys think the rule changes since the last Olympic cycle was good? So I'll recap what the rule changes was. There's the head diving clarification. So that's probably why Shohei Ono retired. There's a head diving clarification. We forgot to talk about the drama where some people did makikomis and their head landed front first, which is totally safe, by the way. But you can only draw so many lines, right? So. The head diving, the grip, like you can break grips now. So the loosening of grip restrictions, you can break grips as long as you reconnect.
Yeah.
And the daki wakare is no longer a thing. People who do nothing and wait for someone to come in and just like flip them over on the ground. Daki wakare is gone, which is one of the main reasons why I did not like the Tokyo Olympics compared to this one. So do you think those changes were good this Olympics, or did it lead to something else you saw this Olympics that you didn't like?
We talked about the Shidos. That's to me a big hurdle.
But that has nothing to do with the
right. But then take for example Uchimata Makikomi. So somebody who dives, but clears the mat with this much and turns sideways and rotate over and gets ippon. I don't think that's a head dive. I mean, certain throws you have to Uchimata Makikomi. You had to go down somewhat, and if not, the technique just calls for it. But if they go straight down and their head touches the mat, yes, Hansukomaki, I would agree with that. But it's gone maybe too far. Now, if I say that, I'm going to get in trouble because I work against safety. No, I'm all for safety. But
how would you?
Yeah.
Well, we're jumping early, but since we're already on that topic, how would you change that rule to make it clear then? Because a lot of people are going to start like saying, "Well, that's a head." Like Shohei Ono's was head diving. This guy was doing the same thing.
It's pretty easy. If they go for it and their head does not touch the mat, it's fine.
Well, he's saying Mikey Comey, your head has to touch him.
No, it doesn't,
I
it
didn't
doesn't
say
have
that.
to.
It doesn't have to. It shouldn't touch the mat.
No,
Okay.
it shouldn't.
I didn't say that. It shouldn't touch
It's
the
saying
mat.
that now with
But
the now
your head goes down.
Right now, the rule is if your head touches first before any other body part, it's a head dive.
No, now I think the rule is even if your head doesn't touch the mat, but you're diving.
They clarified it. I'm telling you
Oh, okay.
Did they?
They did.
Okay.
That's how you get. That's why I said the makikomi that someone did. They got
Yeah.
disqualified because their head touched the mat before from the front.
But if the head doesn't touch the mat, it's not
Fine.
Hansoku Make.
It's not Hansoku Make.
Okay. I rest my case.
If the head touches first before any other body part, then it's a head dive. Doesn't matter
That's
which
fine.
part of the head.
I rest
Yeah.
my case.
That's the whole thing. People like look at us. You and me, we follow the rules all the time.
Yeah.
Even I still get confused. You get confused. We know people that are referees that still ask us when they come and visit us.
Yeah.
Certain things. This is the whole thing where people get confused about the
So
rules.
I think what happened to Rafaela Silva, that's actually what happened. De Silva, is her makikomi, her front of her head touched, and that she got Hansoku Make for it. But
Okay.
I think.
But that's a clear
I think
rule.
that's
That's
yeah.
fine.
I think
Yeah.
that's a worthy sacrifice, and she could have not done the throw that way.
Yeah.
So I think that's better than
I
what we had before.
I have also seen when somebody goes in on an Uchimata Makikomi, head is going down but will not touch the mat, and the person who avoid getting thrown
Pushed her head down.
pushing the other person down.
Yeah.
Hansoku Make should be given to the person,
Person pushing.
the other person.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
I agree.
In my
agree with that.
opinion.
I feel
In my
like
opinion.
110%.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Because if not, it becomes a little too easy, and that's also dangerous. If I push my partner head down into the mat, I'm creating the danger,
Yeah.
not the person doing the throw. So,
I can see it being hard to tell who did what though. You know, they're gonna have people baiting.
I don't
Shinos.
know.
Oh, you
I don't
pushed my
know.
head down. Like,
No, I see some people. You can tell when
push my head down.
some of these people push their heads down. Yeah.
well, we got to draw a line somewhere and
Yeah.
do the best we can, right? So,
What about you? Rule changes. Were good or bad compared to last Olympic?
To me, I think, like I said, a lot of the safety ones I'm fine with. I'm so glad they got rid of that, like, reverse
Dakiwakade,
bad
yeah.
Dakiwakade. I'm so glad they got rid of that because that was just such a ugly move. It doesn't even clean judo. The only thing I didn't like is, and we talked about before already, is the Shidos for grip breaking. Because you would see guys, they would, like, some people, they would go, grip break, let go, reset, no Shido. Then other people go,
So
grip
that's
break.
not the rules. So that's the refereeing.
Again,
Yeah.
but that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
The rule is supposed to be black and white. The rule states this. If you do this, you should get the Shido.
I think that goes back to what Philippe said, was saying like after the first day, they're like, all right, let's cool it on the Shidos, give it a little bit. So
that's my thing. Is like I love the rule. I love what the rule's intent was, but the rule's execution of how it's been done, I hate.
yeah. Okay. So again, it's just inconsistent refereeing, basically. Okay, so what rules do you think will happen for the next Olympic cycle? And also, what do you think will actually be implemented? Like, what you wish, your wish list, but in reality, what do you think will happen? Let's start with
instead of
Sensei Philippe.
implementing more rules, I would like the change to lighten up some of the rules.
But the
already
rule
then.
could be removing some rules. The changes could be
The
removing
rule
some
to
rules.
remove
Okay,
rules.
so that's
But you have to say what rules you want to be changed. You
Okay.
can't just say I wish they had just less rules.
all right. So, for example, same side grip.
Mm-hmm.
So, what if somebody has the same side grip?
I agree.
So what, right? So that's one to pick one. Okay, I have to go through the whole list of Shidos, and then I'll review them, and I'll get back to you. But basically, to get rid of a few of those and open up the airspace a little bit and see how it goes, I think would be a good idea. I would like to see a change in opening up the fighting space.
So we keep talking about Tachiwaza, well, Newaza. Is there any Newaza rules you want to see change?
Can you grab inside your own gi?
No.
Yeah.
Oh, your own gi.
Your own
Yes.
gi,
You're
yeah.
always good. Yeah.
But not your partner's
Yeah.
ski. I would. Why not your partner's ski?
in Newaza.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why not?
Yeah,
A lot of
I
people
totally
say
agree with
Yeah.
that.
That's why
Yeah.
not? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing because I can grab in the collar, I can grab down here and grab all stuff, but I can't grab inside the leg. I can't grab inside the sleeve.
Yeah.
It's like just a weird thing.
Yeah. That doesn't mean. Maybe they don't want you to rip their pants or something.
Well, the collar is just more slack for you.
Reinforcement.
Yeah, but I
More
mean,
slack. But here,
part
they say
of
it's
turning
safety.
somebody over used to be, just grab inside
Yeah.
and so now you can't do that, and that's Shido, So I just open up, lighten up things, you know.
So what do you think will actually happen? What rules do you think that actually? Do you think they'll lighten up the Shido, or you think they're just going to be like, nah? Do you think they're going to do something about the drop spamming?
I don't know.
You know, no guesses. Okay.
No guess.
No horse in the race.
My thing
Okay.
is like the one thing I would like them to do. This is wish list, total wish list.
Yeah.
If they brought back certain leg techniques that were actual techniques.
Leg grabbing. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Like
That
bring
100%.
back Teguruma. Bring back a good kataguruma. A good standing big kataguruma. Like Monotogari, I don't care. Okay, yeah, take out Monotogari. Keep single leg out and stuff. But a good Teguruma, a good kataguruma, a good
I mean, yeah, they're already going around banning techniques, so might as well ban and just like take Mordigari and single legs and stuff.
yeah. Like just bring back good leg grabbing techniques. Like I understand the whole thing of like people spamming double leg standing Monotogari
You don't think
stuff.
you don't think they can spam Kataguruma for stalling?
I said good. I said
Okay, but
good.
where do you draw again? It goes
Good
back to
is
referee.
this is my thing. The rule, this is Juan's rule. It couldn't be like a wrestling kataguruma where you're down on your knees trying to flip them over. You have to be stand. You have to literally pick them up and stand.
Okay, so if you can't stand, then you get Shido.
If you cannot pick them up for the
Okay.
kataguruma, then yeah, it would be shit.
Okay, so what?
Well, they should have kept Teguruma, Kataguruma, Morotigari. So
Sukuinage.
just the basic, you know, leg grab techniques.
Oh, yes, good
And
that'd be
if
great.
anything diverted from that, then it's an illegal leg grabbing, you know. But then you also have to analyze, what if I do Kochigari and then pick the leg, or Ochigari and then pick the leg? I think we did a lot of that, and I think that was fine. That was fine.
Yeah,
It
but-
made it open up again the creative space of judo, and it was a part of judo for so many years. So to come and say at one point that we got to eliminate, you know, it's like cutting, you know, a chapter out of a book, and then you don't know, you cannot read the full book because you don't know there's a chapter missing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think will actually happen?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I have no
All right.
idea. No, because I don't know what direction they're going to
Ask
go with.
IJF.
Yeah, no, because I don't know what
Yes.
direction. Because usually you'll see like stuff like, okay, I'll see how this is gonna. People have a problem with this.
Usually, when it's something
IOC
that's
had a
very
problem with that.
clear, is like, for example, the grip fighting changes. I knew last Olympic cycle they were going to change the grip fighting because of how dumb it is, right?
Yeah.
Just, you saw a lot of bad grip fighting.
He looks like
Shidos.
karate. It's like,
Yeah, so I knew they were going to loosen the grip restrictions. I just didn't know how.
Yeah.
But I knew they were going to loosen the grip restrictions, and they did. So I guess I'll say what. Like, one thing I know that they talked about, I only know because they talked about it in a referee seminar, is they're going to change the definition of osaikomi, because you see a lot of pins happening where the person being pinned is actually on top of the guy.
They're on
that's
top
pinning.
of their leg or on top of their arm.
Yeah,
and
there's
stuff,
certain like reverse guillotine grip style the Japanese do, where they actually are underneath the person being pinned, and that still counts as a pin. And some weird angles of Yoko Sankaku, side triangles, where you're practically underneath the guy and the guy's back's not touching the mat, and that's a pin. So they're gonna look at reviewing that. So I know there's just gonna be something.
well, those are
there.
technical details, and I'm there. That's good. That's interesting, and what have you. But as far as the overall pace of the fighting, and the creativity, and the openness, it has to be lifted because right now it's.
I don't think they're going to do anything to relieve what we complain about the Shidos, but I do think they're going to do something about all the drop spamming we see. Not just drop Sanage, but also like the Tsunoda style of dropping and like just basically pulling guard. But like, I think they're going to do something about that. That's my guess.
We shall see.
Yeah, that's my guess is what they want to do.
We will see in a few months.
What I actually want is I want them to raise the scoring standards back to the way it was before 2017. Yeah, around 2017. Yeah, I want to see them raised back. When we talked about bringing back the Yuko.
Yeah.
And then my way of bringing back leg grabs would be leg grabs can only be scored if they're ippon. So you have this high standard now. It has to be like that, bam, straight on the mat, no rolling bullshit. So
Well, that's going to be a hard one because you know,
yeah. So if you pick the guy up and you go bam, you slam him, then you get the ippon if it's
Yeah.
leg grab. But if you don't,
But what if I do a Morotegari and they sort of squirm out of
Then
it?
you
I
don't
should
get
get
a
a Yoko.
then you don't know, you don't get a score.
Well,
But I guess
you got to keep it consistent. If you bring in certain
If you-
certain throws, they have to have the same scoring as other throws.
The whole
if not,
point,
it's going to get really complicated.
but one of the reasons they, other than looking like wrestling, the other reason that they initially talked about making it a count, remember they made it a counter or a combination only, is because people were spamming it when they're up a Yuko or up a Wazari to stall.
Yeah.
Right? So this way, if you make it, you can only score an Ippon, and if you don't score an Ippon, then it doesn't count as an attack and doesn't score, then people can't use it to stall.
Well, I think they did that then because of a halfway of getting it all out to be eventually.
Yeah.
And so that wasn't very honest either, you know, I think.
I just think this prevents stalling, so that's my guess. But anyway, that was,
It was better before.
The old days. The old days are always better.
did you not have people gaming the rules back then?
Of course they did.
Well,
No,
yeah.
they never did that. We were so honest back then.
I
You did everything with
remember
a handshake. There's no contracts.
there was a while that if you walked out, now you get a shield if you just walk out. There was a time if you walked out, you got disqualified, period, right? So, I mean, that wasn't good either. But overall, the rules were so more proactive, overall. Sure, there will always be people gauging the rules. But, you know, if there's more creativity, then you will see better judo.
Yeah,
think.
I agree. I think the whole defensive passivity stuff, you should just leave it up to the ref and just make it like you can't be defensive or you get a penalty, right?
Yeah.
A lot of sports do that. They don't have like, if you do this kick or if you do this thing, like look at MMA, right? The referee would be like, you need to engage,
Yeah.
right? They're not going to
No,
be
plus-
like, they're not going to be like,
That's another problem with UFC right there.
yeah, if you
okay?
walk like 2 feet beyond this line from his pinky line, then you're not engaging. Like they don't have stuff like that. The referee would just be like warning for.
You want red cards?
Yeah, no, I don't want red cards. I just think you should just make it more general and leave it up to the referee. That way you can open up the creativity. And anyone that trains judo can tell when someone's not aggressive or they're passive or defensive instead of this theatrics that we're seeing now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that might not be like very objective, right? But I think it's still better than what we have now. But we also have to train the referees better than that. Right?
Right now, they're calling judo the Shido game, and that's not very
Yeah.
flattering. It
Yeah.
should be the Ippon game.
Yeah.
Right, so,
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else to add, guys?
no. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for staying on the show, Sensei. We really appreciate hearing from you, getting your
I appreciate
advice, your takes on everything. It's
Thank
really
you.
eye-opening. I hope people appreciate this too, okay?
And I really appreciate the two of you for everything you do for judo. Thank you.
All right. Thank
And
you.
for our dojo. Thank you.